And welcome to Season 3, Episode 1 of the True Patriot Podcast. Folks, this is about as live as we're comfortable with going right now. It is November 7th, Monday. The new episode drops today. Going forward, that is going to be our hope, is that every Monday we drop a new episode of the podcast for you. We're going to do our best to stay up with this. We're hopeful that we can continue this on a weekly basis here. We're gaining a really good library of content and such that we can start getting on a schedule here to drop. And hopefully by the time it does drop, it's still relevant, the information we're bringing to you. And so, yeah, man, that's going to be our hope here. So this is the first of Season 3, and moving forward, man, we are stoked. Had a little bit of a break here, to be honest with you. I turned a half a century a few days ago, and told myself, we're going to take a couple days off here, and we're going to disconnect from pretty much everything as much as we can, and did so. And I got to tell you, man, I had the most amazing time, thanks to, of course, my best friend, my absolute better half. My wife made this birthday something to never forget with her planning and connivery. I had no idea where we were going. Next thing I know, I'm at a wolf sanctuary. For those of you that don't know me, I have had a if you will, a spiritual connection to wolves since I was a kid. And so this was something absolutely just life-changing. I will never forget that day, being able to spend time literally interacting with these amazing, misunderstood, and just gorgeous creatures. Super, super cool. Follow our social media there at G Campbell Fishing. You can see a ton of those photos that we posted up there with that stuff, man. And if you're looking for something, if you love conservation and love to find ways to help with conservation efforts, especially in Colorado here, I'm going to put this up there for you. Give these guys a shout, man. Check them out. wolfeducation.org. Let me move this in so our camera, there it is. wolfeducation.org, Colorado Wolf and Wildlife Center. It is a trip that I highly recommend if you're interested. Get up there. It's a beautiful section of the Rockies. Just a gorgeous place that's relatively close to the metro area, so it's not too far away. It was awesome. So for Season 3 here, man, we are going to we're doubling down on our interview series stuff, just trying to bring you some cool people from around the industry, people that we meet that we think that are worthwhile sitting down and chatting with. These are good folks that have defined themselves in their areas that they work in, or it's people that are associated with our nonprofit work that obviously we do with Romans Warrior Foundation. Companies that support us, companies that in one way or another make it possible for us to continue on this mission. And that's, we wanted to make sure that also with Season 3, we're very clear about, what it is we do out there and why it's important to why we say, that the support is so critical. Flat out, I'm a competitive bass angler, right? I mean, that's what I do for a living. I have a unique opportunity to chase this dream, if you will, from a personal level. But in the process of that, realizing how grateful I needed to be and that how fortunate I was to have this opportunity, we needed to attach something more to it. So we joined forces. I joined on board, if you will, with the Romans Warrior Foundation to operate one of their divisions here in Colorado called the Warrior Field Ops Division, which focuses on providing recreational therapy services. These are two very different entities, okay? The True Patriot Outfitters is my company. It's a for-profit organization. And those companies that come on board with us, that support us, that provide, us the opportunity to go out and chase and provide a stage for this work that we do, they're allowing us to stay on the road and keep doing what we're doing. If we didn't have the True Patriot Outfitters in play, what that means is I got to go back to work in the IT industry. Going back to work in the IT industry will absolutely cut down and reduce down a tremendous amount of time and resource that I have available to me to be able to provide these services with Romans. We would still do it. I promise you that. We would still, in one way, fashion, or form, still find a way to contribute to something that we believe in at our core. But it would just be very, very, chopped down and reduced amount of time. So that's why when we say we're looking for supporters for the Outfitters, sponsors, what sponsors get in this whole piece here, what they get back is, number one, knowing that they're doing something amazing, as close to a nonprofit, setup as you can get. And on top of that, allowing us to continue on the road. So they're supporting not only just our efforts and our work out there, but they're also supporting, many of these nonprofits that we work with. We still have a collaborating relationship set up with Operation Equine, with Allegiance Ranch, Warrior Bonfire. We're available to work with them at any given time, and any other nonprofit that is doing solid work out there for our veterans and first responders. That is our whole sole purpose with that. So that's that piece there. When we talk Romans Warrior Foundation, that's a completely different entity. That is a nonprofit 501(c)(3) that is a national nonprofit. The Colorado division specific here is the Warrior Field Ops division that we manage right here. And that is in and of itself. So any support you do with that goes directly to that program, directly to these services here, and does not in any way influence, shape, or benefit or help anything that we're doing on the True Patriot Outfitter side. That's not the purpose there. So, and depending on one's flavor, if it's a company, an individual, how they want to do it, that's how we have those multiple offerings there. So hopefully that makes a little cleaner sense to you. And that's very important that we remain very transparent with that, so that folks understand, perhaps, and can put into place where their support is going and why we say it's so important out there. So as we start season 3 here and we roll down through, we're going to double down on some interview stuff. I want to introduce you to a lot of the folks we work with over there at Romans. I'm going to introduce you to a bunch of new anglers. We're going to have some returning guests here. They're going to give us an update of where they've been at. And of course, we're going to keep you up to date with all of the cool business workings that we have going on out there. But like I said, not just for a weekly update, but also, like I said, part of that transparency. We want you to see exactly where we're at, what we're doing, how we're going, and how support is actually helping us through that. So each week, we are going to pick a special supporter out of the group. At least every 2 weeks, we're going to try to do that and really highlight this organization for why they're so special to us and what they do, and why we think you too should help support them so they can continue on their effort. And this week, it would be silly for us to choose anybody other than Johnstown Scheels. Scheels, Colorado consists of 2 Scheels major store, one up north in Johnstown, Colorado, one down south in the Springs. Scheels as an organization is a phenomenal outdoor and lifestyle company. Dude, they have everything that you could think of, and from guns to sneakers, man. You can pick it all up here. It's an experience. It's a destination location. The one at Johnstown for sure is. And this is an organization that without them, our field ops would still have been struggling to find resources to get things on the list. Some of the things they did for us. The simple stuff, the easy stuff, right out the gates, one of the first things they did was help establish our mini little fleet of kayaks here. We needed equipment. We needed paddles, PFDs, and some safety flags and things like that to make these craft, viable for individuals to get in. Johnstown Scheels donated all of that equipment, working through their camping and fishing department. They donated that equipment to us. So we have paddles and nets and fishing rods and reels, safety flags, PFDs, good PFDs, not entry level by any means. These are really good PFDs to accommodate all body types. And without, that type, it is simple in its approach, but I got to tell you, folks, it means so much to us, because that's just so much less that we have to try to, rally up in resources from the Romans Warrior Foundation to try to piece together there. And Scheels stepped up with that right out the gates. They worked with us to put together a good list of this equipment to get it rolling. I mentioned fishing rods and reels. They donated to us 10 rods and reels combos. Like these are, not, again, these are not entry level rods and reel combos. These are good little combos from Shields Outfitters. And our purpose is for those veterans, first responders that we take out that maybe don't have a ton of this, gear on their own. We have that to provide for them, and actually we give that to them so they can take it back with them. Our hope is to get them, the fishing bug, man. That's the whole point, right? We're trying to get them hooked on fishing as much as we are, and they see the benefits that come with this, the health benefits that this type of stuff, this outdoor engagement provides them. That's the whole point. And so being able to hook them up with some gear. Now, we're working on something here. I'm not going to give away the name of the company, but it is a Colorado-based legendary organization. We're working with a couple people to provide a little bit additional fishing equipment here for these warriors that join us. So we'll hopefully be able to release some news for you on that. But nevertheless, Johnstown Shields, they have been instrumental in helping the Warrior Field Ops get its footing in the Colorado area, man. Without their support, it would have taken so much longer for us to try to get there. And they provided us with that initial boost to really get us rolling, man, and get us some traction so we could start, that uphill climb. Beyond the work they've done with us, Johnstown Shields and Shields as a corporation, they're more than a big box retailer. Okay, they are as ingrained and locked into their local communities wherever they're at, more than just about any other organization. And they make it an absolute point to get involved in the local community. Be that through special events, be that through support of local clubs. And of course, every year they do a massive, donation piece to multiple nonprofits in their local communities. This is by no measure is it a small or token involvement. These are substantial contributions that they're providing, and vital to many young, small nonprofits, like the Romans Warrior Foundation. I mean, relatively speaking, we're 6-7 years old. The Colorado, division here, man, we just got fired up last year, technically. And so, we're a year into this, and without these type of generous corporations and their awesome employees, many of these companies owe their existence, and many of these nonprofits owe their existence to Shields in their local communities. And this is why you'll hear us from the True Patriot Outfitters constantly praising them, and asking you to go support them, man. Go check them out. Check them out online. Check them out in their stores. You will absolutely have a blast going there and just snooping around, if nothing less. Ways that we contributed back, man, I just make sure that when we need certain items that we can't get through our established channels, if I've got to go retail, then I always check Shields first. Dude, last year we bought a trolling motor through them for a different kayak piece that we had here. We bought a live scope system through them. I have bought countless knickknacks of tackle that we needed before, we left town for another event. And I had some stuff that I had to backfill in because I was all out. So I'd go up to Shields and just go through their tackle department there and load ourselves up. Got a couple Christmas presents from them last year. Got a couple birthday presents from them this year. Just small, our little ways of saying thank you to Shields. And that type of support there is what allows them to do that community service that they do. And that's why we suggest you do the same. Support this organization that supports so many other people out there, and as far as at least give them a fair shake, of earning your business. I know we've been extremely, extremely happy with, the people that work in Shields are amazing. You will love the staff that's there. They're extremely helpful. Everyone you meet. These people are dedicated to quality and taking care of their customers that come through the store. And they have awesome pricing on, some of the best selection of items. When others are out of stock, Scheels has got stuff in stock. You can't go wrong, man. Go check them out. Johnstown Scheels. They are our supporter of the week, or maybe two. We'll see how that works out here. So, at any rate, all right. So let's shift gears a little bit. We're going to talk some fishing. All right, for season 3 here, we're going to get into some current events, somewhat current events, that we want to talk about that has taken place here recently. But I'm gonna throw a different spin to it, if you will, in that I don't want to go down the same pathway that everybody else, because there's been a lot of podcasts on this. We're a little late getting to the game. I want to talk about this from angler's perspective, okay? Competitive angler. And we'll start with that. So in the past, to be a professional angler meant one of two things. Meant either one, you fished at a professional level. That's what made you a professional. Or two, it meant that you earned your primary income from fishing. And so therefore you were a professional angler at that point. The third option is a combination of the two things. We fall in that second to latter piece, that our income will be derived from our winnings. That's what we're looking to do, and to move forward there. Well, now you bounce that thing forward, and now we're talking. We're in the kayak game, very young, relatively young in comparison to the other professional angling areas out there. But we have competed at a professional level with bass. We have competed with the All-American Kayak Series. These are national professional trails, and we have competed within those, for last season. And so, yeah, we fall in this area. But the point I'm trying to get at here is that in the past, there has been a clear path from starting out to professional series. Each step was a larger financial commitment, and that financial commitment falls on the angler, the competitor. When MLF was founded and created, the purpose of the MLF, Major League Fishing, specifically the Bass Pro Tour, the purpose of this was to find a league that was driven by the anglers. The anglers wanted to have control over this. Now, I'm about to get very opinionated on some of this stuff, and you're going to notice for season 3, we're going to get a little bit more opinionated when it comes to these things. And if it does disrupt someone's personal opinion of it, well, cool, man. Good. Then talk with me about it. Let's go over it. I'd love to have you on the show even. But the MLF created the Bass Pro Tour with a combination of 80 of the world's top anglers from Bass and FLW. They left those locations and came over and created the Bass Pro Tour to create a league that was directioned and governed and moved into the future based on angler input. What the majority of the anglers wanted is the direction that the Bass Pro Tour would go. That's what everybody agreed to, and that's what you agree to when you sign on board with them and join up with them. Bass finally realized that these guys were serious. Some of the biggest names in history, like Kevin Van Dam, Skeet Reese, Edwin Evers, Ott Defoe. These are the names of the who's who of bass fishing, dude, for a lot of years. And they left because they were fed up with this. This wasn't new, okay? This wasn't new. This had been going on for nearly 20 years. Anglers had been expressing to the FLW and expressing to Bass that they were unhappy with the way things were going because they were tired of competing for their own money over and over and over again. And the cost continued to rise on the anglers, and the responsibilities continued to fall on the anglers, whereas the governing bodies continued to, rake in same profits. So Opportunity and profits reduced for anglers each year, but opportunities and profits remained and increased for the divisions each year. Something didn't seem right. So they created this, right? They separated off on this. The latest news coming from the MLF is that they are their catch weigh release format, which has stirred up some controversy here and there. A lot of traditional people in our industry, man, and they don't like change, right? Change is a hard thing for them. They like keeping things the way they are. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And to a great degree, I gotta say, I agree. That's something that that I can buy into, right? I mean, I believe in that type of philosophy. But at the same time, we have to be smart, and progress isn't something that we should stray away from. Being progressive in our thought, looking forward, is like investing in our future, okay? And we have to do that. You have to at some point or another. Albeit difficult for you, the bottom line is the sport has to evolve. You look at the numbers and how it lays out. I've talked about this before. Natural resources are not an infinite supply. They will get burnt out. The natural resources we're talking about is our fisheries and their health and their productivity and the ability for competition in tournaments or recreational fishing alone to be worthwhile going. We've all been to a dead body of water before, and we usually don't go back. So we are having, as competitive anglers and as leagues and as an industry, we are having an impact on these fisheries. Okay, you can't argue with that science. That's a fact. We are having a negative impact on these fisheries. To what degree? That's the area up to debate. But the fact of the matter is we know it's happening. Okay? And that is something that we all need to get on the same page with. Now, if our current state says we're having a negative impact on this, we know that for sure. We have record numbers of high school and college teams and anglers and young men, young women coming up through the ranks in the fishing industry now, getting ready to launch into the next era. Record numbers. Throw COVID in the mix, and now our industry saw an absolute record-breaking, skyrocketing, boost to activity. It doesn't take a mathematical or fisheries biology degree to understand what's on the verge. Okay? It's coming. And we're going to, if we're negatively impacting it now, we're going to be doing so at a much higher rate very, very soon. Okay? So regardless of where you stand in this stuff, you have to, at some point, put your, stubbornness away and stop for a second and consider these facts. Okay? This is not contrived information. This isn't the left trying to do. Shut up. No, it's not. This is actual real information. Okay? We know it's happening. We see it's happening. And if you don't see it's happening, then take the blinders off and pull your head out of the sand or whatever orifice it's stuffed in and pay attention. So, what to do? Something. Okay? What that is, that's what's open to debate. But we absolutely cannot, as stewards of our sport, as competitors in our sport, we absolutely cannot just simply sit back and say, NMP, not my problem. Okay, you can't. If that's your mentality, then get out of this sport because we don't need you. All right, you're not contributing to the furtherment. You're not contributing anything other than your own personal selfish ways. In which case, you're non-beneficial, nor should you have a place at the table of this conversation. That's truly my view on that. I just don't see in entertaining that type of deal. But if we all agree that, yeah, we need to do something to make sure that the next people coming up have something to work with here, okay, that they can, and that these fisheries will go. So something has to be done. Well, MLF did something, Okay. And the old hayseeds of and stubbornness mentalities of our industry have, thrown a hissy fit over it from day one. And that is, they did the catch, weigh, release, meaning we no longer live well the fish. The fish come in, they get caught, they get weighed, and they immediately go back in the water. Dude, this is a huge, huge boost. Now, is it the end all? Is it the final product? Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. I can't see the future. But it most certainly is something different. It most certainly is real conservation that's taking place. My response back is, what did bass do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They doubled down on their efforts. They absolutely went out in promotion against catch, weigh, release. They wanted to big fish, big stage. Dude, we know for a fact that the bigger the fish, the more that you put them in a live well and tote them around the lake, there's scientific information that shows the mortality rate on this. So I mean, is that what you want to do? Is completely wipe out those populations? Or at the very least, not to go down that rabbit hole, do something conservation driven. In turn, what they'll tell you is they donated more money to conservation. They got involved in more conservation efforts and made sure to get all the credit in the world for it. I'm talking something real, man. That's what I'm saying. But, bass, if anybody's paying attention on that, do something real about that on that side of the things, because we, have to do something in there. Now, is the MLF perfect in their doing? Heck no, because guess what? They've gone now. What's ironic to me is that they're moving to a system that's more like what we do in the kayak world. Okay, which is catch, weigh, release for them. We're catch, photo, release, just because we don't go off of weight. Egg weight, guys. Can't get us. We don't go off of weight. We go off of length. So we do catch, photo, release. Okay, they do catch, weigh, release. Same. Immediately, caught, tallied, fish go back. So they're coming over to ours because now what they're going to do is they're only going to get judged on the 5 biggest fish they have, which is what we do in the kayak game. And that's what created this big uproar. People, they're either squawking about this ruins the entire MLF. I wanted to see more fish caught, from your loyal fan base, to people saying, gosh, another change each year. Can't keep up with the MLF. This is what evolution looks like, y'all, is that it's a constant change forward. And the anglers are the ones that made this decision. The anglers. 80 of the world's best top competitive anglers all voted, and the majority decided they wanted to go this route, albeit maybe from not by a large margin, but it was something that they wanted to try this for this next coming year. Again, not the final product, folks. It's just another step in that direction. So interested to see how this plays out for the MLF. Okay. Interested to see what bass's response to these things are. The big news in bass on the professional competitive side is they changed how you qualify for the elites. Now, and this might be, strategically speaking, one of the smarter business moves on their side. That is an investment towards the future piece of this. This could be pretty complex, a lot bigger than what I think the average bear would understand. In the past, all you had to do was basically you win, you're in with an opportunity to compete in the Classic. And if you placed in the top ranks of one of their open divisions, which they had 3, each division had 3 events, roughly $1,800, somewhere in that $1,900 to compete in an open. Basically, it's the AAAs. It's equivalent to the Toyota series of the MLF. And that was their qualification. All you had to do was compete in your 3 events, end up in the top X number, and then be willing to commit if you got your invite to the elites. Because the elites, you're about $5,000 plus per event to be able to compete each year. And there's like 7, 8 events, something like that, 6 to 8 events on the elite side. And so, yeah, you can do the math, $5,000 a pop. That's not a small venture whatsoever. But now the change is, if you want to qualify for the elites, you can't just fish one. You got to fish all three, which means 9 total events. You have to commit to 9 total opens around the country at a AAA level and place in the upper top percent of those anglers in order to have an opportunity to compete at the elite level. So for those folks trying to chase the dream, the financial and time commitment piece just went through the roof. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you want to compete at that level, against that level of angler, again, in 9 events across the entire nation, you're probably not going to be able to do that and have a full-time job. Okay, just not going to happen, because the folks that you're going to be going against are living and breathing this. They're sleeping out of the back of their truck. They're sleeping at the boat ramp. If you look underneath, their gaiters, you pick it back, you're going to see gills right there. That's who you're going against. Best of the best at the AAA level, because they're trying to realize a lifelong dream of fishing at the bass elite level. So yeah, man, it's once again what I'm seeing here in the industry from the MLF, from bass, at least on that side of the field. What I'm seeing is that the commitment continues to rise for the angler, whereas the benefit piece seems to be rolling back to the divisions again. So I don't know where I stand on this stuff. It's going to be interesting watching them play all this out, watching, seeing what numbers they have at the end of the day for both sides of this. What I do know is this. It's important that both of these entities thrive. Okay, if folks are going to have opportunities and the kids coming up behind us are going to have their shot, these two organizations need to stop trying to be cutthroat with one another and start understanding that coexisting is allowed and it's good for our industry because it provides opportunities, multiple platforms for sponsors to get involved, to have, great return on investment. And that is a needed deal. If there's just one out there, well, that's a bad deal. Okay. The consumer pays the price when there's only one option. Okay, that's how that falls out. And by consumer, I mean the anglers. If there's just one, that's not a good situation. That's what was so important for the FLW when it came about in the mid-1990s. They decided to take on the big beast that was bass at the time. And I'll tell you, folks, they earned the reputation amongst anglers that were paying to compete. It used to be well known that, hey, man, if you want to make money, you actually join the FLW. Okay, that's where you go. But if you want to make a name, well, you go to Bass. Okay, Bass had the notoriety, but they didn't pay as well for the possibility, for those competitors. The opportunity to make money back was much better at the FLW level. And that was pretty much where the industry went with that. So hopefully things clean out. Again, these aren't the final results, folks. Relax a little bit. Like I said, I've seen some of these podcasts, some of the great hosts that I respect a ton, but they're getting a little bent out of shape on, everything's changing this, blah, 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 blah. Well, of course it does. It's called evolution, man. We need it to. We can't just keep our feet stuck in the mud the whole time and keep casting out from the same, bank. We need to let this stuff, go through its growth. And more importantly, look, dude, the guys that are paying the bills, the anglers, they're the ones that voted for this. So cool. I would love to have the opportunity to have my vote matter in that type of deal. So at any rate, that's where it's at. So, all right. So with that being said, we're going to switch and move into the kayak side of this. And this is where I'm going to flip the script a little bit. I was a little bit harsh on bass on the bass boat side of things there. But this is where I give bass their kudos. And I hope, I've got my fingers crossed that they keep moving forward in this, because quite frankly, they could be our saving grace out there right immediately. Now there's a couple up and coming, players in this mix that I am invested in wholeheartedly, with our finances and our time and energy and our thoughts. But the organization that has this stage, has the notoriety, has the ability to put our section of kayak angling in the proper conversation is absolutely Bass. And here's why I say that. Professional kayak bass fishing. That's what we're talking about here. Right now, if you ask anybody in our industry, most of the time, the response you will get is there are 3 national trails. There's Bass, there's Hobie, and there's the KBF. Now, KBF pretty much put it on the map, right? But depending on who you talk to out there on the KBF side of things, you'll get a lot of really polarizing opinions is what I'm learning about the KBF. Some people love it. Some people are fed up with it. Some people are just not interested. Some people are, still wanting to know where the KBF has a lot of offerings, but I have a feeling it gets a little complex for them when it comes to how some of these trails come together. I think that also is the same crowd that doesn't like that catch, wave, release side of things or the formats of the MLF stuff, but they're looking for something a little more cut and dry, type deal. So it's an interesting topic, the KBF out there, but hands down, KBF put professional kayak angling in the conversation. Okay, they really did. That popularity that KBF, kayak bass fishing, created is what spun up Bass to join in and what spun up Hobie to join in. And before we get going any much further, that's the 3 that people talk about, okay? I will be one of those that throws in the mix. Please also, you need to consider the All-American Kayak Series. Okay, the All-American Kayak Series is a national trail that focuses primarily on the Midwest. Okay, they'll go into Nebraska, all the way to St. Clair, Michigan. They go down to Lake Fork, even all the way to La Crosse. They cover the Midwest, okay, which is an area that not a lot of people cover. Occasionally you'll get some of the other names that will jump into, St. Clair. They'll jump into La Crosse. They'll come up there. They'll go down to Texas and hit some of those. But for the most part, they avoid these other destination pieces that are right here in the Midwest that are fantastic fisheries and can hold 150, 200 kayak events. So in every definition, they're national, and it's not, indigenous to one area. So it's open, through qualification piece for anybody to come on in. And the payouts are right on par, with the others that are out there. What they don't have is the notoriety yet, and they're in the process of working through that. And hopefully, maybe there's something we can do to help them with that. Other anglers that compete, we can all have a say in this to really help boost that. So, at any rate, in my book, what I see, there are 4 players in the national scene. And I'm basing a lot of my opinion on feedback that I've received from other anglers that are out there and my own experiences looking at these things. The biggest opportunity that right now that our sport for 2023 season and 2024 probably, the biggest opportunities that we have right now, in my opinion, fall in the hands of Bass. Okay, Bass is the most recognized name out of all of those in the field. It is the opportunity to connect the endemic side of sport fishing and help kayak bass angling get the recognition that it absolutely deserves. These are not professional kayak anglers. These are professional anglers we're talking about here, and they're some of the best in the world. And they'll not fish you in a bathtub if you put them on a kayak, a boat, or a pair of water wings. It doesn't matter. These are top-rated anglers that are competing in these events, and that should have that recognition, and it should receive that, albeit that we're fishing from a kayak, as opposed to the deck of a $90,000 bass boat. The elephant in the room is that if you talk to the upper end, especially the participants within, people will say the Hobie Boss, which stands for Bass Open Series, presented by Hobie. Hobie is a kayak manufacturer company. AJ is the owner of this, and the guy is a visionary. He's a fantastic businessman. He's beloved by many folks in the industry for what he's done for our sport. And he has created the Hobie Boss, which is the Bass Open Series, which does absolutely boast some of the best and highest payouts for anglers to compete in it. And it boasts some of the world's top kayak anglers fish in the Hobie Boss series. So why do I say that bass is a better chance over Hobie? Because this, in my opinion, here's where feathers, hang on, you're about to get ruffled. In my opinion, the Hobie Boss is not the top tier of kayak angling. It just isn't. You can't have a league that is combed and designed in its venue selection alone that boasts one manufacturer over another, that provides a tilted field, if you will, and try to claim that you're the top of the top. Do you pay the best? Yep. Are some of the best anglers in the world competing in your deal? Yep. They sure are. And is the owner of this and the director of this, is he a fantastic person? Looks like it. I don't know him personally, but it looks like he's a pretty good dude. But what happens at the Hobie Boss benefits Hobie first. Okay, that's the fact. The only one example, I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole that much further, but the one example I will give you is when they went to the Wolf River. The Wolf River chain of lakes. I have fished this area many times out of a bass boat, and I have many friends that have grown up in that area, that know that area like the back of their hands. You are talking about a series of 4 really good sized bodies of water, 4 lakes that are connected by the Wolf and the Fox River, okay, in Wisconsin. When the Hobie Boss went there, they made the lakes out of bounds, and the only thing that was the fishable areas were the rivers. Now, why would you do this? Well, when you have a piece of equipment that has, we all know it, the best, most efficient pedal drive system on the market. This last year, apparently, it had some issues, tossing bearings and gears and a lot of these drives taking a dive on it. But when you have that Mirage drive, which is hands down, the best pedal drive system on the market, and your boat and your hull design is meant to handle river current more than anything, I have been going, in my personal experience, I launched next to a Hobie with a trolling motor in my kayak going against the current in the Missouri River and watched a Hobie with its Mirage drive, only pedaled, no motors, not a big dude in it, pull away from me going against the current. I mean, it's phenomenal. Okay, I admit 100%. I am Team New Canoe through and through, and I bleed, New Canoe. But I'll tell you right now that Hobie with the Mirage drive in river current, dude, it's amazing. If you got the leg power and the endurance to keep up with it, dude, you can fly. Okay, it is meant to handle that. That's impressive. Hobie chose this because, for those of you unaware, Hobie Boss does not permit motors in competition. But they do in practice. It's because Torqeedo and the influence that Motor Guide and these other companies are having on our industry is substantial. So Hobie permits these motors in practice, but then competition day, you're not allowed to run a motor. Seems kind of goofy to me. And more importantly, as I said, when you set up an event like that you hand-picked and select the events based on your equipment, and you want your brand, then cool, man. We have that on the bass boat side of things. There's, Big Bike Baits, throws on a deal. I think there's a frog event. You can only throw a frog during, for a deal. They have like Triton owners events. They got Skeeter, bass boats events they've done in the past. Bass Cat, if you own one of these, then you can get in these things. If you don't own one, you can't get in it. Cool. But none of them try to claim to be the top event of their series, of their section of sport fishing. So until Hobie opens up the doors on competition motors, in my personal opinion, you still can't claim to be the top. Do you pay better than anybody? Yep, because you have a really good reputation, and sponsors want to be a part of that, which is super cool. And I think it's awesome that anglers can make that kind of, income fishing through your series. So of course I'm cool with that. But I'm just saying on the piece of what is our opportunity, I just don't think that is considered to be the top. To me, bass is that right now. It's the most linear name. It's the most open, equal playing field that I see out there. And again, some of the world's best anglers fish it. And many that fish the Hobie Boss also fish in bass and vice versa. It's super cool to see that. So I think bass has that opportunity. But the dark horse in this mix is the All-American Kayak Series. I do believe it has the opportunity if they pounce now. I mean, now is the time. They need to start getting recognition out there about who they are, what they're offering, what's going on there, so that sponsors understand what sort of value they have an opportunity to get in on right now before it goes bigger and goes up there. You'll notice I didn't mention KBF in any of this stuff here because, like I said, right now in conversation amongst professionals to entry level, it's a polarizing topic. Some people love the KBF. Other people are not very happy with them for a lot of decisions. A Reed National Championship qualification. These things did not go over too well, and we have a very small. While our industry is big, it's also very small in the rumor mill, and things travel fast. So, dude, it's interesting to see how it's going. We're focused wholeheartedly on the All-American Kayak Series and Bass. Those are the two. Bass has said they're going to make a big announcement for this next coming season. We're excited to see that. We have a lot of friends that fish in that. I would love the opportunity to compete in as many of those events as we can. At the same time, I mean, we're involved with the Colorado Kayak Bassmasters, which is the direct, line for us in Colorado to get a shot at fishing at the Classic. Cool deal. That's what we're looking for. So that's it on the fishing tip. And other awesome news out there. Hey, it is voting week. Get out and do so. Okay. You don't have any right to complain or get on board there if you're not going out and voting. And one piece I will say on this that I'm sure some people disagree with, if you vote party line, you're part of what broke our system. So stop. Okay, vote your conscience, vote common sense, vote what you believe is the real piece on this stuff. I don't care how you want to paint it, the red or the blue, they both, Republicans, Democrats, they've failed this nation through and through. So you could never waste your vote. If you take the time to research and you go vote, then you vote your conscience on what you believe is the best for the community you're in or for the nation you live in. And you don't let anybody get in the way of telling you otherwise. If more of us understood that, we'd stop playing the game that these jokers on the right and the left set up here. They want you to believe you don't have any options out there. It's the easiest way for them to pull their shenanigans and get away with it. So go out and do your vote. Get involved there. And of course, this week, we are going to be at Johnstown Shields. The Global War on Terror's Wall of Remembrance will be on hand. We're going to have the David Cobb Stop 22 race car. There are going to be some special guests bringing by a 9/11 Remembrance motorcycle will be on hand. The RWF Warrior Field Ops Division, we will be on hand. We will have representation of pretty much all of our divisions and pieces, and we're going to have a couple special guests joining us under our tent. Some of our collaborators will be on hand. These are other nonprofits we work with specifically with the field ops, and so we asked them to just come up and partake in the festivities with us up here. We are also going to have the Stop 22 national recording artists. Looks like we have 2 to 3 of these veteran recording artists that are going to be able to make Colorado a stop real quick. They have very busy schedules. They tour around the nation, and they're going to make a point to stop here and play in some very intimate settings, one-on-one with folks, sitting down in a chair around a campfire and just shooting the breeze and singing some tunes, man, that really strike a chord with a lot of folks, pardon the pun. This is going to be a super cool event. It's November 10th is when we get there. We'll have some events going on that day. Opening, we'll also at 5 p.m. on November 10th, Thursday, we'll be having a celebration for the Marine Corps birthday. Huge event for us there. Veterans Day, November 11th. Please come up, join us, come see the wall. Education and honor, that's the two main principles that the wall represents. Learn about the global war on terror, learn the real stories about this, understand its impact, and then have an opportunity to honor those that we've lost in this deal over and over. This brings me to the final closing for this episode 1. And what I want to talk to you briefly about here is this holiday season, as we approach it. We're done with Halloween now, and now we're coming into the time of a lot of family time. And for a lot of folks, this is a favorite time of year, okay? Just the events that come with it, the nights of watching certain movies and spending time with family maybe you haven't seen all year. These are very special times. But I want you to also understand that for a large section of our communities, our local communities, this is one of the hardest times of the year because maybe they don't have that connection or they don't feel that connection with certain people. And that's why I say for this holiday season, try to make a point. Do something positive for somebody. Okay, don't worry about going and spending the big price tag on gifts. Don't make this holiday season about that. Okay, because those things anybody can do. But taking some time out of your day and doing something positive. And something positive could mean, talking to, a family member that that's been struggling or been down on hard times and just saying, hey, let's go grab a cup of coffee and let's go chat. Let's go talk. Obviously, our focus is on those veterans, those first responders out there. If you know any of them in your community, do something. Do something positive. It doesn't need to be big. It doesn't need to be, major here. Just do something positive. And I promise you the reward that you receive from this is one of the most impactful and long-lasting pieces. When you know that you did something the right way, you took some time, albeit maybe a little bit difficult for your schedule to accommodate, but you made it a priority. There is a sense of giving that truly does land on you. And that service to others, that feeling is like no other. At least for us, I know it is. But more importantly than you is understand the impact you're having and the positive influence you could be possibly giving, some folks that maybe were not going to get that before. It's important that we keep this stuff in our heads at all times because, like I said, this can be a very difficult time of the year for a section of our community. And these people that this can be difficult for deserve at the very, very basic level to know how much they are appreciated, loved, thought of, needed. And there's a lot that we as supporters can do for that. And speaking of, I want to send a very special thank you to all those folks that donated to my birthday fundraiser on Facebook. It was a simple little deal, but there were some folks that stepped up and made our donation. We got our $200 goal met, which was unbelievably awesome and generous of those folks that are doing that. For those of you that liked and saw this, that just aren't in a position financially to help in that area, don't sweat. Not a big deal, okay? There are ways that you folks, if you are interested in finding ways to support the True Patriot Outfitters, finding ways to support Romans Warrior Foundation, specifically Romans Warrior Foundation, there is an event coming up with Shields that they do at the end of every year that all it requires is for you to cast a vote. Okay? Cast a vote, and you can walk away knowing that you did your part to help the Romans Warrior Foundation secure a very generous donation from Shields. I'm going to be calling on this. We're going to be putting this out when it does go live. I'll provide you with the information, the links, and so forth. What we're asking of all of our followers out there is that instead of you don't have to do a monetary piece here. If you want to show a way that you can support folks right here in Colorado and across the nation for that matter, because as we thrive with the Romans Warrior Foundation, Warrior Field Ops Division, the entire organization thrives. If you want to have an impact, a big impact, this is the way you do it. Okay, this is how you can do it, is through this event that's going to be coming up here starting next week. It'll go live next Monday, the 14th. We'll drop another episode of the podcast, and we'll have all the details in that podcast with how you can get involved in this, how you can help us. And we are asking all of our followers, if you are hearing this right now, we need your help with this. I don't care if you're in South Carolina, if you're in California, if you're in Minnesota or Florida. We need your help with this right here on the front range with the Warrior Field Ops. This donation piece is something we have been counting on and looking forward to, because it is one that helps provide logistical support so we can put together some amazing, amazing trips for our local Colorado veterans and other veterans, bringing them into the Colorado area to show them the beauty of Colorado and engage these veterans, first responders, Gold Star families with the benefits of recreational therapy activities in the outdoors. This is so critical to the mission. And all it will take you to do is to click on a link, go to a form, fill out the form. It's one vote per person. Okay, you're allowed to vote for one organization, and we are asking that you vote for the Romans Warrior Foundation. It may be listed under the Warrior Field Ops. I'm finding out today, this week we'll find out. But yeah, nevertheless, if you want more information on that or want to talk about that more, stop down this week down to Johnstown Shields. Come down and talk with us down there. I'll be on hand every day, as much of the day and into the evening as I can. And still maintain a home life of some sort. But come on down and join us for that. We will be absolutely glad to sit down with you and chat. And plus, you're going to have an amazing time when you're down there to see the wall on full display and all the cool events that we have going with it. And yeah, like I said, you want to talk about a way you could really impact a lot of people going forward. That one move, that one simple little move is all you got to do, and tell your friends to do it. Hey, I need you to do me this favor. If you did that on Facebook, imagine if every one of the folks that we had that follow us could get 10 of their friends to do the same thing. Dude, that would be huge, huge. And that's what we're asking for. We are asking for your support in that way to help support the Romans Warrior Foundation and provide us with a very needed boost to our logistics and help us really make 2023 a season to remember. Folks, as always, your support, your love, your following, if you're stuck with us this long, then you are the true MVP. We absolutely, if I've never even met you, I can't thank you enough. We love you guys. This really makes doing what we do worthwhile. This puts substance to us going out there and doing this. The competitive fishing, obviously, is on a personal level for the True Patriot outfitters. But it also is one that provides that stage, right? It gives us a platform to operate this stuff from, get great companies like Vicious Fishing, Amped Outdoors, All-Terrain Tackle, of course, Blackfish Gear, all of these companies that stick with us and help us on the daily. Now Berkeley, Pure Fishing, we're with these guys. We're super excited for that. We're getting some big names helping us out here, willing to work with us. And that means the world to us. And it's because of your support that's possible. These folks are willing to work with those entities that they feel have influence out there. And the more support and the more subscribes, the more follows we get, the more it shows that we have influence out there and people are concerned about this, and they want to find ways to stay involved in fishing and actually make it have a little bit more impact than just fishing alone. So we thank you. And hey, it's Veterans Day week, dude. Get on down to Johnstown Shields. Come down and see us. Hang out. Probably got some swag for you here. Looking for a Vicious Fishing t-shirt? Got me a few. I can hook you up with some. Hook you up with a little bit of some of the backing braid there that I use. You betcha. Need some fluorocarbon? Got some of that too. NACO weights. I could hook you up with those. dude, we got all kinds of stuff on the fishing tip. But above all, you can come on down there and help support and show Shields why it's important they keep bringing that wall back every year, because our local community loves it and wants to see it here and wants to pay our respect and tribute to those that have given everything for us and for our freedoms. Folks, it may be a new season, but the same thing remains. Tight lines, be safe.